I'm Jerry Craig with the Veterans for America First and Veterans for Trump group, and we're proud to endorse Nate Ramker, who's running for Iowa State House District 98. He's an America First candidate who is willing to step up for the first time and run for public office to defend the Constitution of the United States and to promote the America First agenda in Middle America, in Iowa. So, Nate, thank you for coming on the podcast. I want you to talk to your voters in District 98 a little bit about what motivated you to run for office and what you're going to do once elected.
Well, I've never done anything political before. Never in, no class politics, back in high school or anything. And I wasn't, uh, really, if you'd asked me a year ago, I would have never guessed I'd be here now. My wife, volunteered for the Iowa caucus, and we had a pretty good snowstorm that day. And when it got done, I went up and met her to see if there's anything I could do to help. And, we started interacting with some other people that were at the caucus, and the central committee member wanted to, retire. He's been doing it for 20 years, and he approached me and my wife and asked if that's something I would do. And then we volunteered for that, and got elected for that night. And then we started talking to our friends, the Sigworths. Dave, he also volunteered to be on the central committee, and they said that our district was running unopposed. The Democrat was running unopposed at least the last election, and they had changed the district line, so I'm not exactly sure. But she's for the woke agenda. She's for the transgender stuff. Like, I have 13 grandkids. I have 7 children. The youngest one's in junior in college, and but 5 of my kids live in the district, and all 13 grandkids live in the district, and 8 of them are in school. And our oldest granddaughter, she said she went to school with kids wearing cat costumes. And as far as I know, we don't have any litter boxes here, but there's some people in northern Wisconsin that I know that they said their kids are going to school. And these are small towns up there too, that there are litter boxes in the schools or in the bathrooms, and these kids have to put them.
Yeah, spade and neuter your students, right?
Do what now?
So it's like, remember the old Bob Barker, if they're going to act like animals, might as well spade and neuter them.
Yeah,
Uh,
right. And I think it's got to be distracting for kids to, have to put up with that while they're trying to learn. And then, I believe it's California, that's trying to pass laws that the teachers and the staff at school can, interact with your kids and maybe push them one way or the other on this gender stuff, and without the parents' consent or without the parents even knowing about it. And I just want to make sure that that's not happening here in Iowa. Uh, that's one of the main, reasons I wanted to run. When I found out that, like, there was a void, nobody running against her. So we found out, I guess, 2 days at a meeting, that 2 days before the deadline to have our signatures in to be on the primary ballot. And it was kind of an uphill battle. And it seemed like every time we hit a dead end or a roadblock, we would just be talking to someone, and they knew somebody else that put us in touch with someone else. And pretty soon we got in touch with Jeff Kaufman. Um, he called me at like 11:30 at night. He's a farmer, I believe, and he was out working, doing something in the fields, and he got done, and he called me up, probably talked for like a half an hour, and he put us in touch with some other people in Des Moines. And they had to put on a special election with the central committee members that are in our district. And we did that at the end of June. And, we weren't really sure. We emailed some people, and I only had a chance to talk to a couple of them. But I believe we needed 5 people to show up and 3 people to vote for us. 7 people showed up, and everybody voted for us. And yeah, so we got on. So, and then sometime in the beginning of July, it was official that we were going to be on the ballot this November. And just, it just, I don't know, I was never in the military. My youngest daughter went through basic training, and she was in AIT, I think that's what they call it, where she was going to be a mechanic for the Apache helicopters. And she's got spina bifida, and it never showed up she was in sports and she's pretty athletic, but it never showed up till the end of basic training, and she tried to work through it and she got an honorable discharge. But then I had a couple son-in-laws that one is in the Army, one is in the Air Force, and I don't know. I never did that, but if I could do it over again, that might be something I would definitely consider, because it was. So I guess running right now, I guess, is a way to give back to the community.
Right.
We talked to some other people, and the session goes from January to April, and you have to spend a lot of time in Des Moines. And I have a good friend that lives in Des Moines, so he's already said he had a big family. He's got room at his house. They all moved out, so I can stay with him, and I have the ability to take off enough time to spend up in Des Moines. So I just I wanted to give back, to the community.
Well,
Um,
I understand anytime you're willing to do something that's meaningful, important, and doing the right thing, it's always a little bit of a battle. And when you find obstacles in front of you, when you feel a calling, it's part of the calling and it's part of the process of doing what needs to be right, or right the ship, do what needs to be done to cure the problem. You're going to get hit with resistance. And it sounds like you've got the fortitude and the wherewithal to fight through, even though you had some barriers getting your name on the ballot or getting the special election. You've gotten yourself postured on the ballot for this November 5th. So once elected, what are you going to do once you get to Des Moines?
um, well, like I said, one of the main things I want to make sure we keep Iowa safe for kids, and parental rights. And I was talking to a few people, and it'd be nice to maybe, some of the retired people, uh, with property taxes, and just, I know, I think Trump's talked about income tax for the retired people, and getting that down, and if I'm correct on that. But maybe doing locking, maybe there's something we could do at locking in property tax, so it's not inflation, and then the property values are going up, and so people's income or property taxes are going up every year, and a lot of the retired people, they're not mad. Inflation is going up a lot faster than any way they have a way to generate income, and it's
Yeah,
putting them at a bind to keep their home.
yeah,
you
I
know
always refer to inflation as the flat tax from the left. It's the
yeah.
Democratic flat tax. And when everybody on fixed incomes or people who are living paycheck to paycheck are also affected by inflation, it's theft. It's the, as I've referred to in other times, is the burglar who hits every home. And you're right to care for those that are most affected by policy, are the most vulnerable, is our elderly, and I think you're right to look out for them. So if you had some voters and people in your area who wanted to learn more about your campaign, volunteer, make donations, where would you ask them to go?
Well, like I said, we had a late start. We didn't get everything done. So we waited for literature to come in. We had, like our palm cards and stuff. We were just handing those out today. Me and my wife and my son. And so we didn't get everything in until the end of July. And one of our friends is working on a website right now. You can find us on Facebook. Um, and then we have another friend Dylan, actually, the one that put us in contact with you. I'm still learning all the names of the different places, but it's something red where people could
Windred.
donate. WinRed. Okay, is that what it is? All right. And we have another guy that's in charge of the Muscatine Republican Party, and he's been pretty helpful. And he's talking about chasing the absentee ballots, sending out mailers. And we started doing the math on that. If we're going to send out 8,000 ballots at 75 cents a stamp, we're looking at around $6,000 just in stamps alone. And then we'll need volunteers to fill them out. And so I don't know, depending on, right now, we did get a contribution from the Scott County Republicans, but otherwise it's me and my wife have supported the entire campaign. So, I mean, whatever we can afford to do to keep moving forward, we got flyers, we got signs. But yeah, if we want to do like a mail out, it's gonna get kind of expensive that way. So,
Right, I'm fully familiar with the cost of campaigns. I actually ran for US Congress myself a couple of
oh,
years
nice.
ago, and yes, it gets very, very costly. So depending on voters to donate and support and volunteers, it's important for grassroots candidates to come up out of the grass and step off the sideline. So I would direct any voters in District 98 to search out Nate Ramker for Iowa on Facebook, on social media, and stay tuned for a website so you can work through, find information, and donate some funds to Nate Ramker and his campaign. So I also want to tell all the voters to remember that November 5th is the day of the election. And that if you can vote early, please vote early to have your vote counted and have it banked. If you have an absentee ballot request, make sure that you turn that in. Make sure you get your vote cast and vote for Ramker in Iowa's District 98.